Hi, friends. I'm Zach.
I'm Mitch.
And we are an excellent little podcast.
Presenting you a little movie podcast starring Zach and Mitch.
Wait, we're doing a podcast?
No. What are we?
I don't know. I'm asking you.
I don't know. Do I look like the guy who has all the answers?
You're the brains. I'm the brawn. I don't know.
You're the one that talks the most, so...
I do?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll take it as a personal note.
Okay. Yes, we are doing a podcast for those of you listening.
Yep, and we're actually doing a little bit more podcasty things this time instead of a review.
Yeah, today we are discussing, between Zach and myself, our opinion on the Battle of the Screens, streaming versus theater.
Dun, dun, dun.
Do you really want to know what we think?
I think they do. I hope they do.
Well, I mean, if
you don't, you can go ahead and turn this podcast off right now if you would
and unfollow us. But if you do want to hear more, don't forget to like,
subscribe,
and review, and share.
And turn on notifications. We would love if you're on Spotify, they notify you every time a new episode comes on.
iTunes podcast.
If you're on iTunes podcast, we are able to be on there too. iHeartRadio's going a little crazy right now, but we're still figuring that one out right now.
But above all, just listen to us.
And just keep swimming. All right. So, like we said, we're going to do the Battle of the Screens. We're going to go ahead and talk about streaming versus theater. But as a start, just a way to kind of break the ice, Mitch, what was your first experience in the theaters?
Well, seeing how this is our second attempt recording this episode... We'll discuss that on another time.
Oh, yes.
So I discussed it with you, Zach. I originally had two picks, but I'm going to narrow it down to one. The one experience that I had, it wasn't the first experience I had with a theater. It was the first experience that I've been in a theater where everybody in the theater was so excited to see a film. And it was in 2002. It was in May of 2002.
Oh, I think I know where this is going. And not just because I've heard this story so far.
It was the first Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire.
Oh, there we go.
And it was after my first communion.
Oh, there we go. That's how I want my sacraments done.
Yeah.
In the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Let's go see Spider-Man.
And it's funny, like the year that I got confirmed, I think I went to go see Iron Man.
There we go. Superheroes.
No,
Jesus is the true superhero in our hearts.
No, I'm mistaken. We saw Indiana Jones.
No, never mind. You're right. Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. There we go. That is grade A. Aliens. Yes. We go from Christianity in two of the films to aliens. We love it.
But anyway, that was the first theater experience where everybody was so excited to see a film. When we went in, this was a Sunday matinee. This was 4 p.m., I think 4:30. And for the most part, Sunday morning matinees, regardless of the day, they're normally not that crowded, from the experiences I've had with Sunday matinees.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, music theater side of me had to do it.
We went in, and the theater was absolutely packed. There were people standing in the back just so they could see this movie. And everybody got out, and people were talking about it so much as soon as they got out of the theater. And I looked at my mom, I go, can we see it again? But no, that's the first movie theater experience I've had where a group, and I'm not talking just a small group, I mean literally dozens of people crammed into that theater seeing a movie that they've been waiting to see for a very long time.
Yeah, and
But
now,
heck.
now whenever I see people standing in the back of the theater, I have to kick them out because Mickey Mouse says so.
Yeah. You're talking about Phil Hart, right?
Yeah, I'm talking about Phil Hart.
Well, because some people may have thought you were talking about like Tough to Be a Bug or something.
Oh no, people willingly leave Tough to Be a Bug the second it starts. Yeah, I if I was working Tough to Be a Bug, that would be so easy. I would have so many shows that I would just be by myself after a full theater leaves. Yeah. So my first experience with theaters, I always like to say my first experience that I remember because my parents will never let me live it down. Is
and I know this story too.
Is Toy Story 2. When it opened, I went to go see that movie so many times. I do remember seeing it a great many times. So I don't know if this was my exact first showing or if it was a later showing. Who knows? All I know is that one of the showings at the very end where Buzz and Woody are riding on Bullseye, going to get Jesse on the plane down that runway. You know, Woody's going, run like the wind, Bullseye. And he's going fast, and Bullseye's running as fast as possible. And so am I. I'm running up and down those stairs in the theater, up and down and up and down, also saying, run, Bullseye, run like the wind.
So I have to ask, how did you not get kicked out of this theater?
Because I was a kid, and kids do the cutest, darndest things, as well as getting on top of a sofa dressed as Buzz Lightyear and jumping off and hitting your head on the coffee table.
Was that you?
Maybe.
Did you get stitches?
No, actually, but my mom could have sworn that I was going to have stitches because she came running when she heard that thud. Sorry, Jess. He just looked up. I'm so sorry, puppy.
I mean, that was a loud thud.
That was a loud thud, which is why my mom freaked out.
No, that's funny. But so we talked about our theater experiences. Mm-hmm. Shall we discuss our first streaming experience?
Absolutely. My first streaming experience was 7th grade. Mrs. Curry's literature class. It was the end of the semester, and we didn't have finals in our middle school, so content was running a little low. So
I feel like that was the norm back in the late 2000s, early 2010s.
Yeah, this would be about 2009, I believe.
Okay.
Before, Netflix was just a mail-in service for like DVDs and video games and stuff like that. My family didn't subscribe to it because we had our local Blockbuster, RIP, or Hollywood Video, RIP.
I never had Blockbuster.
Oh, it's so good. Mine is now a Verizon.
What a shame. What a shame. But now
and then
all
my
we have
Hollywood
is
Video. True. So less personable red boxes. But anyway, like I said, 7th grade, Mrs. Curry's class, and she was like, well, look, I can now stream movies. Let me log into my Netflix, and we're going to stream Michael Myers' The Cat in the Hat. And I loved it. It was not my first time seeing that movie, but oh god, so many wonderful jokes. The neutering scene, the cutting off the tail scene, the dirty hoe scene. It's so great. It's so great, Michael Myers.
That movie is so terrible.
You jerk.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. Each person is okay for their opinion. It's okay. It's fine. You dirty hoe.
What?
But it's okay. How about you, Mitch? What is your first experience with streaming that you can remember?
Well, since I'm a dirty hoe. No, I'm just kidding.
It's okay, baby. I love you.
So the first streaming experience that I have it was with Netflix.
Okay.
Obviously.
Not Disney Plus?
Not Disney Plus. But my family did subscribe to the Netflix mail-in inbox.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Well, I think we had like 3 movies, or like if we wanted to rent a season, we would get, because normally a season of a show would be about 4 discs.
Yeah.
We would get like, okay, season 1, we get the first 3 discs. done with all those 3 discs, we would get the last disc of the first season and then the next 2 for season 2 and so on and so forth.
Sure.
So we did all that. We loved it, but we had to cancel it because, money.
Yep.
But my mom came up to me, I think it was during the summer of 2010, I think, maybe 2011, give or take.
Okay.
And my mom came up to me and said, "Hey, I've been seeing this Netflix streaming thing, and it's only $8 a month. I think we really like it."
Those were the days, man.
And I said, "Yeah, let's give it a try. Worst case scenario, we don't like it, we can just cancel." And I was the first person to use that. And I would come home after work. I used to work at a Dairy Queen.
Honestly, okay, hold on. Florida, I have to say this. You need to up your Dairy Queen game because I swear to God, I need a Blizzard stat, and the nearest one is near Haines City, and that's
Let's go
travesty.
on a road trip, Zach.
Oh man, but sorry. Go ahead and continue. I need my dilly bar though soon. I need my dilly bar fix.
Oh, absolutely. I feel like if we went to Haines City to get that, those dilly bars would be long gone.
Oh, 100%. They wouldn't make it.
We would, or they wouldn't have made the trip.
Oh nope. Mine would be gone by the time we left the parking lot.
Oh, mine would be devoured. But anyway, so I would come home from work, the only one awake, and I started watching The Walking Dead.
Gotcha.
And I just loved the idea of just watching a TV show or a movie from my TV screen, from my Nintendo Wii. And I just loved every second of it. But I really didn't get into the Netflix original films until really, other than the Marvel original series shows in 2015, 16, and whatever.
Gotcha. Yeah.
I really didn't get into the Netflix original films until I moved down here.
Okay.
And the first Netflix original film that I watched was, don't judge me.
And I won't. Don't worry.
He's judging me, everybody. But it was To All the Boys I Loved Before.
Hey, there we go.
But it was
we always love a good rom-com.
But it was because I had a crush on somebody and she wanted me to watch it, and I watched it, but we didn't work out.
But was the movie any good?
I mean, I enjoyed it.
There we go.
Yeah, but
got something good out of that relationship.
But yeah, that was my first taste of original films from Netflix.
Sure. Yeah. I think my first series that I actually streamed was How I Met Your Mother, which was everyone. I never watched the series when it was running, and I heard you should watch it. You should watch it. You should watch it. And sophomore year of college, I finally started subscribing to Netflix, and that was the first one I watched. And I think and then I started watching Daredevil and all the Marvel shows and whatnot, now on Disney Plus, which I recently started actually rewatching Daredevil. They completely stripped Netflix's name from everything.
Really?
100%. Netflix isn't even mentioned, even though they're the ones that fronted the bill for everything.
I mean, that kind of makes sense because now we own. Well, we always own them, but we just license them to Netflix.
Yeah.
So even though they probably know, Netflix made this, but this is our content now.
Yeah.
And this is going to be our shows going forward. And they're rebooting Daredevil.
Yeah, sounds like it. Sounds like a reboot's in the works.
Or, I mean, I'm hoping they don't reboot it, but maybe do a
soft reboot.
Yeah, I would be okay
something.
with that. Maybe a variant of Daredevil.
I'm not gonna lie. I just want Karen and Foggy back.
Yeah,
I love the original group that they created there, and I really love their dynamic. So I hope that they're able to get everybody back for the reboot.
Yeah. I would love to see the Punisher, John
Bernthal come back. Oh,
he would be amazing, especially if Andrew Garfield came back, because you know how there was that little scene where he was talking to Tom Holland about how I wasn't pulling my punches, I got bitter. Yep. And he may have killed somebody. And yes, I feel like they may be doing that with Kraven the Last Hunt, but wouldn't it be so cool if John Bernthal came in as the Punisher to take him down? That would be so sweet. I mean, but they can do that.
They can. But we're gonna go ahead and start continuing talking about the Battle of the Screens. So, Mitch, who in this fight, who do you pick should be the winner of this battle? Are you on the side of the theaters or are you on the side of the streamers?
Well, I would say I spend a little bit more time streaming, especially like during the what does baby call it, Zach? The panini?
Panini.
The panini,
The
yes.
pepperoni.
The pepperoni panini.
The panorama ding dong. I don't know.
Yeah,
whatever you like to say that will not get it demonetized.
yeah.
But yeah, the certain virus
thingy
that is for some reason controversial. But
that ever since then, I really got into streaming. You know, I watched Tiger King. I watched Tiger King. I watched over this Christmas. I watched a lot of Netflix. What is it? Comedy shows.
Comedy shows, yeah.
Which I think that's just glorious.
Oh yeah, like their comedy specials are always great.
Hilarious, absolutely hilarious. But I gotta go on the side of the theater.
After all that talk of streaming, you're gonna go with theaters?
I gotta go side with the theater because there's nothing more than going to see a movie you've been excited for so long, and watching it on a big screen. Mm-hmm. So I have to go with a bunch of examples here.
Okay.
When I went to see Black Widow, when I went to see Jungle Cruise, when I went to see No Time to Die, the new James Bond.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And I know, like with Black Widow and Jungle Cruise, there was that premium access with Disney Plus.
Yeah, Disney Premiere for $30.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. When I went to go see those Black Widow and Jungle Cruise, people were still on the fence of seeing films in the theater because they're like, oh, I can just watch this from my home. I may have to pay $30, but I can still do that. And
also, we also have to put into effect as well, especially during like Black Widow and even with Jungle Cruise, coronavirus was still very much a worry to a lot of people.
Right.
Us living in Orlando, admittedly, I don't want to say desensitized us a little bit to the pandemic, especially since we worked in the theme parks. So,
right.
Not saying that we were putting our lives on the line or whatnot, but
No.
we were very much at risk of getting it. I feel us as theme park workers, because I mean everyone around the world was trying to still get to Disney World and escape that. So,
right.
So I feel like we just, since we dealt with that every single day, we were just not as
worried about it,
since we I remember in my apartment we were saying, it's not a matter of if we get it, it's a matter of when.
Yeah, we were kind of the same in my household too.
So we continually we always had safe practices,
Absolutely.
continually wearing our masks. We got vaccinated when we could. Mm-hmm. Got boosters when we could. Stayed our social distancing and everything. And we strongly advise, if you have not gotten your vaccine, to please get your vaccine. And if you haven't gotten your vaccine, if you have a genuine, legitimate reason for medical, genuine reasons, we hope that you continue wearing your mask if you are unvaccinated. That way we can finally get over this final hurdle of COVID.
Absolutely.
But enough of that. We'll go ahead and continue.
Yes. The fact of the matter is, I was on the fence of seeing it in the theaters as well.
Sure.
Because not just with Disney, HBO had their the Warner Brothers films day and date deal that they did with, the Suicide Squad, Space Jam, New Legacy. But I felt like when I was seeing Black Widow, Jungle Cruise, No Time to Die, Eternals, Shang-Chi, Spider-Man No Way Home, those were the films I saw in 2021. I did see Venom as well.
Uh-huh.
I just couldn't get over the fact why people were so well, I get why they were concerned, but I just couldn't get over the fact that people wanted to see these films at the comfort of their own home on a video screen. But I'm not gonna lie, if I would have saw Spider-Man No Way Home from my house, I would have been pissed.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to experience that film in a movie theater. I wanted to experience seeing Daniel Craig's last James Bond outing in the theater.
Yeah.
I wanted to see Black Widow finally get her first solo film in the theater. I wanted to see Dwayne Johnson drive a Jungle Cruise in the theater.
And make dad jokes
And make
entire
dad
time.
jokes. And again, the list goes on and on. I didn't want, even though I will admit, I did watch all the Warner Brothers films on HBO Max as they came out and not go to the movie theater, which that I will go to the grave and say this, that was a big mistake on just not just my part, but also on Warner Brothers.
Yeah.
Because think of how much money they could have made.
Well, especially with how they didn't even talk to any of the creatives or any of the people, any of the producers or anyone. They literally just said, oh yeah, we're going to drop this on HBO Max. Literally, they decided it one night and they posted it. And like every single bad decision that you make at 2:00 in the morning,
Right.
you get all those calls going, what are you
the
doing?
hell? Yeah.
Excuse me?
like the Black Widow thing.
Well, like the Black Widow. Well, that was Disney, but the one that specifically comes to mind for me is Dune and Denis Villeneuve.
Dune.
Well, because if you remember when that happened, Denis Villeneuve went to Variety personally and wrote an op-ed article himself, absolutely trashing HBO Max and Warner Brothers and everyone, saying, after Dune, I am never working for you guys ever again for this absolutely blatant cash grab and absolutely terrible way of handling this business and not respecting what theater is.
Well, let's also bring up Christopher Nolan. With Tenet.
Oh, yeah.
And I know Warner Brothers were really pushing him to release it on HBO Max, but I haven't seen Tenet yet, but I heard it's really good. I'm going to watch that tonight or tomorrow. Remind me.
Sure.
But just somebody remind me.
I will definitely remind you, but you are definitely, that's another one you are definitely missing out with not having the theatrical experience.
So Christopher Nolan came out and really, he bashed Warner Brothers and HBO Max as well.
Yeah.
Excuse me. He also decided to not work with Warner Brothers anymore, and his next film, Oppenheimer, that is already one of my most anticipated films of 2023 with that cast.
Yeah.
That's going to Universal, I believe.
Yep.
But here is a guy who's directed so many films for Warner Brothers.
Yeah.
The list goes on and on. Interstellar, Batman Begins, Dark Knight Rises. Again, the list goes on and on and on. And he decided to leave it because of their decision with HBO Max.
It literally, they lost one of their biggest moneymakers and one of the best filmmakers right now of our era, just over a stupid business decision.
And I get the business decision. They were trying to up their subscribers, but if I compare Disney Plus, HBO Max, Paramount Plus, Peacock, I have all those. I also have Netflix. I also have Amazon Prime, Instant Video. I also have Hulu. So you name a streaming service, I have it.
Gotcha.
They're all the same. They all have content. They all have original films and TV shows. Just Disney Plus has more family-friendly related content. They're starting to get a little bit more adult. HBO Max has a lot of adult stuff and very little family-friendly stuff. Peacock has
TV, mostly.
Mostly TV.
Yeah.
Paramount Plus, again, mostly TV.
Mostly TV, with the few exception of, I think they're starting to kind of get into new content, especially with Halo coming out.
Yeah, I haven't seen that yet. But they're all the same.
Yeah.
They're all the same. They're all just content.
Yeah. Well, and each one I feel like goes for a different kind of special group of people. Like, like so many Disney fans I feel like are like genuinely was a given that they were going to subscribe to Disney Plus, especially when they were initially marketing it and when they were initially released it. They were like, literally everything that we've ever put out is on Disney Plus,
which it's not
right now. Not anymore, because they as Disney Plus is growing and evolving, just like Netflix, you need to put some away to make room for some more and kind of, that way when something big comes back, you can, you know, put like a little hurrah to it. Like,
right.
Hocus Pocus is coming back in October, but who wouldn't have doubted that? Like, but, you know, that's... So you're going to go with theaters on this one, right?
Yes, and I have to just add one more thing, and then we'll get to your opinion. I am pissed. I am so pissed that the Knives Out sequel that's coming out on Netflix is going to be straight to Netflix and not in the theaters.
Who knows? They might do a little bit of Irishman where they might release it like a little bit to theaters.
I wish Netflix would just at least try to release their films in theaters.
I think they were going to. I think they've tried a couple of times, especially with The Irishman. I remember them trying to put The Irishman into theaters, and some theaters took it, some of them didn't. I think the runtime was one of the biggest factors with that. But also, it's just the Academy also doesn't look too high on streaming things. Right. So I think that also is a factor to it, which streaming is an art form in itself. Absolutely. So, like, don't get me wrong on that. But, yeah, I think Netflix has kind of an uphill battle with getting things to theaters. So.
Right. But, Zach, what's your call?
Like you, I think I'm going to decide on the theater side here.
Well, I'll be.
Story of the century. Also, in other news, water is wet.
A bear shits in the woods.
It's movies were meant to be shown in movie theaters. Literally, there was a point in time in history where streaming and even at-home video was unheard of. You would go to a theater, you would see a movie, and then just hope it was going to be shown again in the theaters at some point later. But a lot of times it wasn't. So there are movies back in like the 40s, 50s that not a lot of people saw until home release came around again. So we are in kind of a golden age of content and being able to live through our favorite moments again.
Right.
But your first time should always be in a movie theater seeing a movie. It's hands down, no matter what genre, whether it's an action thriller, a comic book movie, a comedy, a drama, a rom-com. At the movies is where you should see your first ones.
Well, you mentioned old films back in the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s. My mom would always talk about back when she was younger. She would always talk
the
about
dinosaur age.
Yeah.
Okay.
She would always
with
talk
the Croods.
About,
The Croods. Yeah. For those that remember the Croods.
She would always talk about Grease with John Travolta, and she saw that in theaters, I believe, and it didn't start coming out on TV until a few years after, and it would only come once a year.
Gotcha.
And you couldn't record it. Because at the time there was no VHSs. Yeah. You had to be at your TV.
It was an event
at that time. But now, if I want to watch Grease, I just got to find whichever streaming pick.
Yeah, or go buy it digitally, or buy a DVD, or
exactly. But that's just. I think I'm with you on that one. You and I both agree that when you see a movie in a theater for the first time, you're sharing that experience with literally dozens of people. It's mind-blowing how, because I'll talk to people all the time, like, oh, do you prefer seeing it in theaters? Do you prefer seeing it in streaming? And this was before the pandemic.
Sure.
People would always prefer to see it, especially from my hometown. They would prefer just stay at home to watch it. And I go, why? Why? Don't you want to see? Because we were talking about like the 5th Pirates of the Caribbean when it came out. I go, don't you want to see Captain Jack Sparrow at the theater?
Yeah.
But they would always go like, no, I can just do that on my Amazon Fire Stick. I can just plug it in and watch a pirated version, which I hate. And that's another thing about the same date thing. And
we'll get to that topic when we get to it. But yes, it's definitely a big thing with streaming, is the ability to pirate films.
And that wasn't in our notes, Zach.
Oh, it is though.
Where?
Watch. There it is.
Oh.
Gotcha. But don't worry.
Bite me.
After you take me to dinner. But
I did just order a pizza.
You did?
No.
Oh, you're treating. Oh, well, see, you're not treating me well. All right. So yeah, theaters are where it's got to be. You even a movie like Cyrano that we recently just saw. So happy I saw that in theaters.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It's and that's such a small movie, a very small movie, very just like 2 or 3 locations that they use, very small cast. So
Mostly
much better seeing on
mostly an
big
awards kind of film.
Yeah, I would say it's kind of an awards film. It's an
Which is great.
It's great. But you know, it's I'm going to enjoy that in the theater more than I'll enjoy it on my 65-inch, you know?
Right. Well, it's same with the Irishman.
Size does matter in this point.
Yeah, size matters. But it's the same with The Irishman when it came out on Netflix. I saw that streaming on Netflix.
Yep.
About 3.5 hours. Did you get a chance to see that in the theater, or did you watch it on Netflix?
So I watched it on Netflix first, but then I happened to find a theater that was showing it. So
Really?
I did get to see it in theaters, but that was unfortunately not my first viewing of it.
Really?
Because I figured I wasn't going to have a theater nearby that was showing it. But
Right.
luckily there was one nearby that was showing.
Well, I'll be. But it's the same thing with a movie like that, or Zack Snyder's Justice League, a 4-hour-long film. People just don't want to see films that last 3-4 hours. But for you and me,
It's the only place to see those. But and that's something I feel theaters should kind of get back to, something that I've only experienced in the theater once in my life ever, which is the intermission.
Oh, back in the day with 10 Commandments.
Let's
and
all
Ben
go to
Hur.
the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby.
and
You know-
get some ice cream.
But like
I
that's
don't know what it was.
but you know that I wouldn't mind having movies do intermissions again. And I think it would benefit I believe it would benefit creatives in the sense where they could tell the story that they want. It would benefit movie theaters because then they're more. I would definitely probably pick up a refill or maybe even get a soda or a popcorn or something at intermission.
Absolutely. I know I would.
And then for the audience members, you have a perfect time to use the restroom if you need it.
Yeah.
So like I feel it's a win-win scenario if you start adding an intermission again.
Well, also, the thing about streaming, and I'm guilty of this, everybody who has watched a film on streaming, whether it's first time or the 100th time, when you're at home by yourself,
Yep.
you're going to be looking at your phone.
Yeah.
At a movie theater, you don't do that.
Nope. It's like the elephant in the room. You just can't take your eyes off of it. And you whenever you're in a theater, it's not only just theater etiquette, just not to use your phone inside of a theater, but it's also just like how could you not? Like it's literally the biggest, hugest thing in the room. Like you can't take your eyes off of it, whether it's a train wreck or it's a masterpiece. It's a clean plate. We never know, but but it's still just something that's so hard to kind of take your eyes off of when you're in a theater. Whereas opposed to if I'm watching even a show that I'm watching for the first time, if there's a lull, if I get a notification on my phone might take over my intrigue for a little bit, and they'll look up and be like, "Oh shoot,
What did I just miss?"
miss?"
You gotta rewind it and all that crap.
Yep.
But I'm starting to get to that point where if someone pulls out their phone, there were a few times where I'd be like, "Hey, can you put your phone away?" Now I'm just like, "You're missing out."
Yep.
That's not my problem. That's yours. I'm going to focus on the film. If you want to miss however much just so you can post on Instagram or text whoever you're talking to at that time or send that Snapchat or whatever, you're the one missing out on the movie. I'm not.
Yep. But okay, we've kind of bashed on streaming a little bit.
Yeah, we bashed on it.
Let's kind of play a little devil's advocate here. What are the positives of streaming?
Well, dang it. I'm not sure, but
I mean, let's talk about TV shows. I feel like streaming with TV has really redefined TV as a genre, really.
So I mentioned how The Walking Dead, I do love the fact that if I wanted to watch a show and get it finished, I love the fact that I can binge that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I love that. Like when, I think it was a couple years ago, I was trying to get caught up on Grey's Anatomy.
Oh, there we go.
And it took me like a week, I would say. But
really? Only a week for Grey's Anatomy?
It took me about a week.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's actually... To be honest, that's a lot of content, but solid. Good for you.
I know. I don't know how I did it, but by golly, I did it. I think I had a few sleepless nights, but
I'm sure you did, because Jesus, like those episodes are like at least an hour, and
they were for about 45 minutes.
They're about 45 minutes, and like there's how many seasons? Like 14, 15?
They're pushing. I think they're pushing 18. I think.
Jeez. Like. That's a feat, dude.
Thank you. But I love the idea of like, okay, I haven't watched Breaking Bad. I can binge that.
Yep.
It may take me a few days,
yep.
but I'll get it done. Mm-hmm. Or like Sons of Anarchy on Hulu.
Mm-hmm.
I can do that.
Yeah.
Or House of Cards, or Orange is the New Black,
mm-hmm.
or whatever. I'm one episode away from finishing Archive 81.
Oh, okay.
Great show on Netflix. Mm-hmm. I highly recommend. It's a 2022.
Uh-huh.
Wow, say that 5 times fast. 2022, 2020. So I do love the fact of I can pick a show that I have not seen, mm-hmm. and I can binge it. And finish it. Yep. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. However, it drives me absolutely insane where people say that they've watched a certain show at least 8 times.
Hey, we always love our comfort shows.
But I get that, but there's so many other things that you can watch, and you decide to watch The Office for the 7th or 8th time.
Hey, it's okay. I'll excuse my sister's behavior for this one. Abby, I love you. You can love The Office as much as you want.
But 8 times?
Yeah, honestly.
Why?
It's because it's nice and comforting. I'm not a huge Office fan, but like Parks and Rec for me is one of mine that I put in the background, or Star Wars Rebels or Clone Wars. I usually put those on in the background.
I can never have a show on in the background because I would always have to watch it.
Oh, uh-huh.
But I think I went to college with somebody that said they watched The Office 15 times, and they were in the middle of watching it the 16th time.
Good for them.
But I even said, but why? That just
they're living their best life.
But you just ruined your first experience watching that show.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
That's why they're rewatching it, so they can try to relive their first experience of it.
No, you can't come in here and say that you are reliving your first experience rewatching a show you've already rewatched 5 or 6 times prior. You can't do that.
Yeah, you can.
No, I sure as hell can't.
Oh, I love it.
I can't. Our first disagreement.
It's all right. It's fine.
I can't. Anybody? Go carry on.
Yeah, but
I gotta
to play devil's advocate as well. To streaming. I really do feel like with television, streaming has really benefited it. We now get, to be honest, movie quality television now because of streaming. And it's really thanks to Netflix that we have this new era of television. It has forced television shows that are actually on cable to step up their game. They've unfortunately, though, been left in the dust. But I mean, with shows like The Witcher and now all of our Disney Plus shows like The Mandalorian and things like that, we're getting these movie quality shows stretched out over longer periods of time, and the quality is at the height of what I would consider movie quality. You're funding, what The Mandalorian was costing, I think like millions an episode.
Right.
Like
it shows how much they want these shows and sometimes original films to succeed. They're putting in so much, and they're not going to see that money back for a while.
Well, speaking of not getting their money back, with streaming, you were bringing it up, and we almost talked about it. We'll go ahead and talk about it here. The idea of piracy really has skyrocketed since.
It's ridiculous. I have to say this now. If you pirate a film, you are so disrespectful to film studios and movie theaters that it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
There's no reason for you to pirate a film because you want to save money.
Oh yeah, 100%. It's piracy is a very easy art, especially with how streaming has allowed it to happen. All you need is a Netflix account or a account on the dark web, and a screen capture. At this point, really super simple. Not saying that I'm doing it. I don't. But
I've never.
But a fifth grader with an IQ level of a P could easily become a lucrative pirater. In this day and age, it's very super simple, and it's really hurting the industry. And I feel like it's really hurting not only these industries, and I hate to defend industries, but it's low. It's a low blow to them.
And all it is, if you don't want to see the film in theaters or streaming, then don't go see it.
No.
Let's just, or if you want to see it right away, go and see it in the movie theater.
Yeah.
Or wait till streaming, or wait till DVD.
Yeah.
Don't pirate it.
Yeah.
People spend a lot of time and a lot of money
and a lot of work. This is art, y'all. Like, genuinely. Like, if you love what these artists and these people are doing and making for you, the least you could do is pitch in a couple of bucks to go see it.
Absolutely. Or pitch in a few dollars for a streaming site.
Anything.
Absolutely.
Like, trying to pirate it off of the
dark web,
off the dark web or anything it's just not gonna end well, dude.
No. So you mentioned Netflix and Disney Plus and all the shows.
Yeah.
So you know how Netflix when they release their shows, it's right there.
Yeah, it's all at once.
Disney Plus, sometimes it's all at once. Most of the time, it's one at a time.
Every Wednesday, yeah.
Peacock has been hit or miss.
Okay.
With the Joe and versus Carol show, I have started it.
No.
I think that's a weekly thing. Their new Fresh Prince of Bel-Air show, that's a weekly thing.
Oh, I really want to see that.
I've watched the first episode. It's pretty good.
Really good.
They have a few shows that they release all at once. Paramount Plus has been a weekly thing. What do you think of that? I'm more of, if there's a balance, if there's a steady balance, then I'm okay with both. Like, I love the opportunity to watch a show, a season, a 13-episode season on Netflix in a day.
Yeah.
But I also love the weekly thing that Disney Plus does, like with WandaVision. Oh, man, that was beautiful.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah. So from a business side, 100% the weekly way is the best way to go.
Okay.
Because, if you have at least, 5 episodes, that means your customer is paying for at least 2 months of your service. So there you go. Perfect. Right. Great. But, and also it just kind of stays in the public eye longer. Like, I feel like WandaVision really benefited from that because
people are still talking about it.
And people are still talking about it now, but it, with every episode, every week, everyone was following it. Everyone was really anxious to see the next episode. They were doing really great with their cliffhangers and their storytelling. And, that just lended itself to the weekly release.
Well, I also feel some people were kind of hungover from The Mandalorian season 2, and they wanted something to fill their streaming brain.
Yeah.
And that was WandaVision, because it came out a week after?
Basically, yeah.
And they hadn't seen anything Marvel in literally a year and a half. So they had to have something.
Yeah.
And WandaVision had it, and it was just glorious. The weekly thing.
Freaking awesome.
I loved every second of it.
That was so great. But then there are some series that I feel like really lent themselves well to just being dropped all at once. I feel like the Netflix shows like Daredevil and Punisher and Jessica Jones and all those really lent themselves well to just being dropped all at once, especially with the first season of Daredevil. Some of that content was really heavy, and then don't get me started on the first season of Punisher.
Oh man.
And Jessica Jones as well. Like, that was all really heavy content. So to go at my own pace for it, but still be able to binge it as much as I wanted to, perfect. Great. So it really just, to me, depends on the content. So I have to agree with you. I feel like finding that mix and knowing what kind of content that you have that you're creating, and knowing when you're writing it, okay, are we going to drop this all at once, or are we going to be episodic,
right,
and write it that way and release it that same way, so we don't get a situation kind of where, I'm going to use Hawkeye as an example. Hawkeye to me felt like a giant movie that just got chopped up into episodes. There really wasn't, in terms of like very big cliffhangers to keep you going. So you kind of got your episode, you waited a week, and then, oh shoot, it's Thursday. Oh yeah, Hawkeye came out. I completely forgot.
I have to wait till next Wednesday.
Yeah. And I feel like that one would have really benefited from just being dropped all at once. So it's just knowing the content and knowing the story that you're trying to tell, which version of dropping it would help the story.
Well, I have to use a few examples. 2 of them are Netflix shows, and one of them is an ESPN/Netflix.
Okay.
So the first 2 examples from Netflix was House of Cards and Tiger King.
Okay, yep.
Those shows, their episodes, they all felt like mini films.
Yeah.
And they worked. Like, every time I watched an episode of House of Cards and Tiger King, I felt like, okay, I'm watching a shortened film.
Yeah.
It felt like an hour or 45-minute, 55-minute, whatever. It felt like a film. Yeah. It felt like I was watching a film, and it was just cut up into, like you said with Hawkeye, into 13 episodes. Or in Tiger King's case, it was 10.
Yeah.
So I think you pretty much agreed with everything you said. There was also, I don't know if you remember The Last Dance, the Michael Jordan documentary on ESPN.
Vaguely, yes.
Oh, ESPN, it first came out on ESPN, and that was a weekly thing. I also felt it was in the same as Hawkeye, because it felt like a long movie.
Gotcha.
Because it was not just about Michael Jordan's last season with the Bulls. It was a show about Michael Jordan's basketball career. And I just felt like it would have benefited a lot more if it was released at the same time. And so when it was done, Netflix, who co-produced it along with ESPN, they said, okay, that's done. Now people can actually see it in its full capacity on Netflix at the same time. So again, there has to be a balance. There has to be a collaborative piece with these shows and movies.
Yeah, and that's where I feel like it comes down to, is you should just, it needs to be a level of communication between the business side and the creative side of, okay, are we going to make it episodic or are we going to drop it? Which one? That way you can continue moving forward with that. And who knows, maybe that might change a little bit, but you should really, it really just depends on the product you're trying to give. So I feel like that's kind of how it goes.
One more quick question, Mr. Jack.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody has seen what Netflix is doing this year. They have that trailer where there's going to be a new original film every single week. I have to ask your thoughts on that, Zach.
So the tricky thing is that I know Netflix is spending ungodly billions of dollars into that saying. like genuinely.
And that lineup is long. I don't want to say how good it is. It's long.
That's the thing. I feel like it's the point of it is to make a list, but it's quantity over quality.
Yes.
And that's where I feel like Netflix is going to have its downfall, and where we're going to kind of start to see the end of Netflix's reign over the streaming wars, as people have been calling it, because I feel like they are greenlighting as much as they can to get onto their platform to stay ahead. But they're now more about quantity than quality. And their series are still doing wonderfully, but their movies you can tell, are really starting to falter. And you have your gold gems. Like, I feel like Knives Out 2 is going to be wonderful, but I feel like the more that they continue to be like, oh, look, we're going to release a movie every single week, you're bound to shoot yourself in the foot.
So when I saw that trailer, I was like, okay, that's neat. It's a new film. I'm sure majority of them are going to be at least decent. I know the Adam Project with Ryan Reynolds, that's been getting a lot of buzz lately.
Yep.
But again, I saw the lineup, and I have to agree with you. It's quantity over quality, because the majority of the films that they're releasing, they all look bad
or mediocre at best.
Yes, I know there's a few, they've got a lot of star power. They have Jamie Foxx and Ryan Gosling. I think there's something with Charlize Theron in there too. But honestly, if you throw an actor or actress a big hefty paycheck, which I'm sure Netflix is doing, they're gonna be in shit films.
Yeah,
I don't care who the actor is. They're gonna be in shit films if they're offered a ton of cash.
Well, and then you get the whole actors just doing this for a paycheck kind of thing. And some actors will give it their all no matter what project that they're in, and some of them just won't.
Yeah,
and that's only gonna hurt your film if they decide, I'm just taking this paycheck and just gonna be here.
Well, did you see Daniel Craig's paycheck for Knives Out 2 and Knives Out 3?
Oh yeah,
it is big. I mean, that guy, whew, I mean, and well deserved, and especially for that role, like, good for you, dude.
Yeah,
like, absolutely.
And especially for well done with shaking off the James Bond stigma, because barely any actors after they do James Bond are able to find something afterwards that they're able to kind of stick to. Congrats, Daniel Craig, on finding Knives Out.
That's why I'm so excited. Then that, to tell you the truth, this year, that is my favorite upcoming Netflix movie / streaming movie that's coming out in 2022. I'm so excited to see that film.
Yeah, for my favorite streaming movie or show, there's only one. There can only be one, and that's the Kenobi one.
That's my favorite series.
But in terms of movies,
it's tough because there's so much coming out.
It is, and the thing is that before I make this joke, I do not speak for the brand or the company, because I do work for Disney. But there's a lot of really wonderful Disney things that are coming to Disney Plus specifically. However, Disney, you know how you've been absolutely pissing on Pixar lately? Man. And have been only releasing Pixar on Disney Plus films. I'm not going to say your name, but I know exactly who's making that call. Sorry, I have a cold.
We both do not.
And I hope that cold goes away as soon as possible.
We do not represent the company in any way. We are Disney cast members.
Correct. But get your head out of your butt and start putting some of these films back into the theaters. And
Lightyear, please release Lightyear in theaters.
If you genuinely release Lightyear on Disney Plus only, if you switch to that,
you're gonna lose
Pixar has the in my mind, has the entire right to go ahead and leave the company. Mm-hmm. They have the right. Because you need to start treating this studio with respect. Because after how wonderful film Turning Red was, Encanto was Disney.
Yeah,
that was a Disney film. But Soul
was beautiful.
Just all you, Luca, you got to start treating this. It was one of your first big acquisitions. Start treating it like it was, because it's a major one. Mm-hmm. So please continue treating it with respect. But on a lighter note, there's a great many things that are coming, and to be honest, I can't choose one movie. Really? I can only choose the one that I know for the series, which is Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah, I have to go with Obi-Wan Kenobi with the series as well. It's just Knives Out. I loved every second of it. I was really disappointed that I didn't see it in the movie theater, but the fact that it's not gonna be in the movie theater, the sequel, it makes me so pissed.
Yep, come on, Netflix, you can do it. We know you can.
Yeah, just a limited release, please.
Even like with The Irishman, I know you have an uphill battle, but look, I mean, you had a loaded cast, and with The Irishman, you had a very long runtime, which was hard. But you had Marty Scorsese as the director, so you had that in. But I feel with Knives Out, you have an even better in, because the original was released to theaters. Mm-hmm. So you can say, hey, this is literally just a sequel to one of the most popular murder mysteries of 2019,
and it was a success,
and it was a genuine success. Everyone loved it. It got Rian Johnson back in the popular, good graces
after Last
Jedi, which I loved. I'm not gonna lie. I loved Last Jedi.
I also loved it.
And if you didn't, that's okay.
Whatever.
That's okay. If you didn't like it, each one has their own opinion. That's okay. But ultimately, speaking of opinions, we want to hear your opinion.
Absolutely.
We want to hear what you think in this battle of the screens. Who should be the victor, whether or not it's the streamers or the theaters. Go ahead and shoot us an email. If you liked this episode and this kind of content besides movie reviews, go ahead and shoot us an email and say that you like it. If you have recommendations of something that we should review, send us an email.
Please.
Please interact. We love to hear what you guys like. We want to hear your feedback. We're starting to kind of edit our shows a little less so we can get them out to you a little faster. So we want to see how these less edited shows are doing. So if you think that they're doing better than our original full edited stuff, we would love to hear it.
Either way, we love hearing from you guys.
We love hearing from you guys. So please go ahead and send us an email, or if you see us in person, go ahead and
say hi.
Say hi and talk. And
hi, sir.
We love to talk. But
until then,
I'm Zach.
I'm Mitch,
and we are an excellent little podcast.